So all four candidates have expressed their opinions during the one-hour debate. Now police have cleaned up the street and some candles have been placed around where the shooting occurred. The suspects now being held at the Spencer Police Department. School officials kept students in class until the end of the day, and this cherished holiday tradition will continue through New Year's Eve. Christopher McGowan's attorney, Robert George, thinks that his client. On Sunday, there will be a concert here at the Congregational Church. Even though the station said they didn't get much complaint, many female fans here said they were offended. Eyes under food and eyes overhead. It's a nightmare for residents without power and crews trying to turn it back on. There are 25 people in the shelter right now, and at least they'll stay warm on these cots tonight. The jury was sent back to the hotel, and if they don't come up with a verdict, the judge will have to declare a mistrial. On Cape Cod, in Johnston, Rhode Island, in Nashua, New Hampshire, in Wilmington, Massachusetts, in Spencer, in Kinston, in Barnstable, in Boston, I'm Rebecca Wu, NECN. Welcome back to Imagination. We have shown you many Asian customs, and now we'll bring you more. That's right. Today in the studio, we have top chef Tina coming from a Taiwanese restaurant on Newbury Street. So now we'll take a look at the latest news in Asian communities. Joining us today is Yang Xingyi. She's a professional musician and also a teacher of a traditional Chinese instrument, guzheng. This blast was felt and heard up to 20 miles away while the chemical plant CAI Inc. exploded just before 3 a.m.
The windows, framing all, everything just came in the room and everything just landed on me. And we just got out of the house.
I immediately thought that we were all just gonna go up, so I just got the heck out of there.
More than 90 homes were damaged. 300 people were home at the time of the explosion. But remarkably, no one died, and only 10 people suffered minor injuries.
That these homes have been so extraordinarily damaged, but there's been no severe personal injury or death, really makes this a Thanksgiving miracle.
The cleanup, however, will be massive. Many residents have been displaced from their homes now in shelters. And there is also environmental damage. Authorities are unsure what kinds of chemicals were in the plant.
Based upon some of the odors down there, it's most likely volatile organic chemicals.
Some of them might have streamed into the nearby Waters River. But state officials said the initial testing of the site found no health risk in the air or water.
The question, of course, will be asked and answered. What went wrong here?
We're in this for the long haul. We should not expect any preliminary cause or any final cause for that matter for quite some time.
The explosion is so powerful that firefighters describe the scene as a war zone, which makes it hard to find out the evidence of what went wrong.
The violent nature of that explosion leads us to want to very methodically try to recreate that building, recreate the materials that were stored in there, and look for the origin and then look for the cause.
And again, it will take a few more days to complete the investigation. And on Friday and Saturday, MEMA, Red Cross, and Massachusetts Division of Insurance will be at City Hall answering residents' questions and also offering some help to rebuild their homes. In Danvers, Massachusetts, I'm Rebecca Wu, NECN. Police said that gang members are likely to come from outside Salem and gather with other gang members here to cause problems.
Salem's haunted house here. We have the psychic fair.
Halloween is the biggest night for Salem, when more than 100,000 people will gather here to celebrate the hunting happenings. But police are also planning for some unwanted visitors. They have been getting tips that there might be gang activities.
We're definitely going to be looking for that type of activity. All the officers are being briefed on all of that information, and we have sufficient forces in place to handle whatever it is and to make sure that everybody has a family fun event and everybody stays safe.
Approximately 200 police officers will be on the street, as well as probation officers and youth workers to scan the crowd for trouble.
I was a little concerned because I have small nephews that come out for Halloween, but I think the police will take care of it. I think they do a good job.
Some middle school principals in Salem sent a letter to parents asking them to keep students in their neighborhoods or at parties not in the downtown area. But some parents are not worried.
We're going to come down.
No.
There's enough police around here. There's enough police that I'm seeing around.
Police over there.
I mean, they're everywhere.
The Salem police are saying that no alcohol allowed in this area, and also don't bring in any accessories to your costume that could be construed as a weapon.
No swords, no axes, no pitchforks, no baseball bats or clubs or anything of that nature. Just leave the accessories at home. Come down in your costume, have a good time.
It was the first time in recent years that the gang problems have been raised in Salem during the Halloween festivities. And police also warned that if anyone wants to cause disturbance, they'll get arrested. In Salem, Massachusetts, I'm Rebecca Wu, NECN. "27 precincts in Boston didn't have enough ballots on hand on election night.
There were plenty of ballots. They were there. They did not deploy them.
340,000 ballots were sent to Boston, while there were only 156,000 voters. The question is, why didn't they put them all in precincts?
Because you don't have 100% of the voters turn out. You usually have 50 or something similar to that.
The mayor was not informed of the situation until the Secretary of State called in. They both agreed there was a management problem.
I can't think of the word I was trying to use in public. I was a little angry. I was very angry.
More ballots were then delivered by police cruisers, but some voters had been waiting for up to 2 hours.
My name's Dwayne Howell from Roxbury, Massachusetts. I want to go down to the State House and ask them what's going on over here. Why do we have to wait? Why are our ballots late?
Some voters waited, but some didn't.
There were volunteers there trying to get them to stay, and some people couldn't stay. A man with a herniated disc, gave up. He said, I can't wait more than 10 or 15 minutes. My back hurts. I have to go home. And they did.
The secretary is taking legal action by putting a supervisor in charge of the Boston election department, and the city is also hiring a consultant.
We're going to bring in a consultant to help us look at the management skills of the election department as we move forward.
I have no more desire to take over the Boston Election Department than I do to take over the Baghdad Election Department. But on the other hand, I'm not going to wait around for something else to happen.
The Secretary of State told us that he's trying to get the supervisor in as soon as possible before the next major election, of course, the presidential primaries in 14 months. In Boston, I'm Rebecca Wu, NECN. Rides, games, food, and music. You can find them all at the Topsfield Fair.
I've been coming here for like 7 years, and I can't wait for it to come.
7 years, but the fair has been here much longer than that. This year is its 188th anniversary.
We started as a cattle show, actually in 1818.
Which makes it the oldest agricultural fair in America.
They settled here in Topsfield because it was the most central location for farmers to come.
Still, agriculture is the main theme, and education is a very big part of the fair. Children get to see animals they're not able to see in the city.
We educate them. They've never seen a cow. They don't know where milk comes from.
But most people come here to see
a big, huge pumpkin.
That's right. This pumpkin weighs 1,347.5 pounds, which is 10 pounds larger than it ever had at the fair.
I can't believe something is that big. I mean, it looks fake.
It doesn't really look like a pumpkin, though. It looks really huge.
So the farmer who grows the pumpkin spent $221,000 to buy the lands and equipment, and now he won the $3,500 prize. So you do the math. In Topsfield, I'm Rebecca Wu, NECN. Longer lines and delayed flights have been expected at Logan Airport after last week's terror plot.
We got here 3 hours early.
Security has put a ban on all liquids and gels in carry-on luggage. Just bought a cup of coffee? You have two choices: drink it up or throw it away.
I'm just gonna throw it away right before I go in.
We just got rid of our 2 bottles of water.
In fact, security lines are much shorter than what people expected.
It's actually been kind of laxed from what I expected.
The security line, in fact, is empty right now, so it's really unusual.
More passengers are checking their bags to avoid unnecessary trouble.
The real delay was really outside where we were getting our baggage. Checked. There were definitely at least 4 times as many people as usual.
But if you plan to travel through London, The security check is much more strict.
No books, no MP3 player or Discman, a CD player, anything wasn't allowed.
And it is even harder to follow those rules if you bring a kid with you. Amy Zorn even emptied out her daughter's water pen because they are also not allowed.
Traveling with a 3-year-old, we definitely need to have snacks and drinks. And it's really hard to explain to a young child what the heck is going on here.
Some people appreciate the new precautions, some don't.
I don't think it does a lot for security, but I think people will feel more secure about it.
This liquid bomb thing is something that we've known about supposedly since 1992, and it just now has become this emergency that, you know, I don't understand why there wasn't a more comprehensive security plan.
Since August is the busiest travel time of the year, airport officials recommend that passengers check with their airline on a regular basis and also arrive at the airport at least 2 hours earlier for their flight. In newsroom, I'm Rebecca Wu, BUTV. All cyclists here has their own story to tell. Some ride for their families and some ride for a particular person. And for Team Spinergy, they ride a PMC in honor of a young superhero, Harry Clark. Harry is just like other kids, enjoying riding bikes in their neighborhood. The difference is he had a brain tumor the size of lemon wrapped around his optic nerve, causing loss of sight in his eyes.
Now I kind of know that I can only see out of one eye, because if I cover this eye, I can't see anything. And I feel like there's just like a circle here.
He's lost all the peripheral vision out of the right side of his eye. Most of his vision is just his left peripheral field, and he has a little of his central vision, and that's it.
This rare type of tumor called craniopharyngioma. The symptoms could be losing sight, headaches, or nausea, vomiting. But it can be fatal if it grows and grows.
He probably had another year or so before it would have killed him.
The surgery was scheduled a few days after they found out about the tumor. Harry was only 5 years old. He didn't know what tumor means.
He just waved goodbye, like, see you later, like this was so much fun, and he had no idea.
Although this kind of tumor doesn't travel elsewhere in the body, you will keep growing until it is entirely removed. And the little piece remaining in Harry's brain did just that. For Harry, the second surgery was not easy.
At that time when we told him, he told us he wanted to die. He didn't want to do it again. So not only are you scared, but you're heartbroken.
I don't like MRIs or surgeries.
Both surgeries took more than 10 hours. He had an incision that went from year to year, and the doctor literally removed his forehead to reach the tumor twice.
It was kind of weird after the surgery because I had a whole Band-Aid on here, and it kind of hurt when they took it off, and I had 2.
He came out a different person, so that was very scary. You wonder what happened to your child.
2 brain surgeries make Harry way beyond his age. Eunice told me not to ask Harry about the tumor in case he recalled the bad time. But during the interview, Harry brings it up himself.
You can ask me about my tumor too if you want later.
Make you feel bad?
At the end. No, it will make me feel fine, but I kind of want to save it until the end.
Harry has been through so much that sometimes he's hesitant to participate in play. But when Harry went back to school after the surgery, the scar on his forehead made Harry Clark become Harry Potter.
He told me that I was like Harry Potter in school because he either saw the scar or I told him about it. And he knows a lot about Harry Potter. And so he thinks it's really cool.
Sports plays a very important role in this 6-year-old boy's life, and especially
Red Sox. Yeah, I really like the Red Sox. I like going to the games, especially.
And when he grows up, he wants to be
a Red Sox baseball player, the president, or a governor.
The whole family has been supporting PMC for many years since one of Harry's best friends has been sick for cancers. This year, a doctor who treats Harry at the Dana-Farber asked them if he can write in Harry's honor, and he was also writing for 20 of his patients.
We think it's wonderful anyway to get the word out about pediatric brain tumors and have many raised specifically for pediatric brain tumor research, or anything just around the Dana-Farber would be wonderful, because again, in our mind, Children's Hospital and the Dana-Farber has saved his life.
And also, Team Spinergy was writing for Harry.
Of course, he was thrilled to be a part of that as well.
This year, Harry was planning to cheer for riders at the finish line in Wellesley, but he didn't feel well at the day of the race. Now Harry goes back to the hospital every 3 months to be monitored for the visual issues, and because he is not growing, he has to take growth hormone, which is done by injection every night. Most important of all, he has to have MRI every 3 months because it takes only 1 cell for the tumor to come back.
We live our life in 3-month segments, and he'll have his next MRI in November, and our fingers are crossed that there won't be anything.
When I asked Harry how could he deal with those difficulties and still be so happy, this is his answer.
I'm like everybody else. I'm like every other 6-year-old.
For BUTV, I'm Rebecca Wu.